I'm CJ Champion, and I'm a professional dunker. I perform in the best dunk contests across the world, Dunk League, Dunk King, Kings of Air, you name it. Today I've been challenged to explain dunking in 21 levels of increasing complexity. Things that can make a dunk really good, obviously the technicality, the way it looks, the style in the air, and then how clean and how hard you finish the dunk. Also, how high you jump. Important to note, every dunker jumps completely different. They'll have their own interpretation for this challenge. Level 1, basic dunk. The very first steps to learn how to jump and dunk, you gotta start with footwork. So today we're gonna lower the rim down to 8'5". This is where most people would start. I am a left-right, left-handed jumper. As I approach the rim, my left foot blocks and my right foot plants, and then I jump straight up. The block foot, it's the foot that comes down first after your penultimate step. Penultimate is the step you take before you go into your jump. Now that we got the footwork out of the way, let's move the rim up to 10 feet and get some real dunks. Level 2, Assisted Lob dunk. So this is the easiest way to land your first dunk on a regulation size rim. All you need to do is have somebody throw the ball right in front of the rim and then you just go and get it. But there's a few things to make this work. First off, this is really easy because you're able to get a full run-up approach and a full arm swing before catching the ball and dunking. The arm swing matters. It's really important. To be able to get higher vertical jump, the arm swing, as you swing your arms back and then propel them forward, the arm swing gives you some momentum. You're able to just jump higher versus having a ball in your hand. The other thing too is absorbing the ball. As the ball is coming down and your hand is coming up, you have to control the ball. Your arm isn't going to be fully straight. You need to absorb it a little bit, have control, and then finish the dunk straight down into the rim. To complete this dunk, you only need about 4 inches over the rim. If you can grab the rim, you can just about do this dunk. You don't need to know how to palm a basketball to be able to dunk. In this case, it's just keeping control of the ball right here. Level 3, handoff dunk. Using a handoff is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, all you do is you have somebody hold the ball out in front for you and you just go get it. It's useful because you have a lot less variables and you can have the ball positioned in the same place every single time you go up for a dunk. Mastering a handoff dunk is crucial for being able to experiment with more trick dunks, as we'll get to later. It also makes trick dunks a lot more consistent. Level 4, off dribble dunk. Off-dribble dunks is mostly what you see in basketball games. This dunk is more complex than the assisted lob dunk because you need to have control of the basketball, being able to go into a full approach with the basketball while dribbling. There's a few things that make it difficult. Obviously, you need some coordination. You need to know how to dribble a basketball and push it out in front of you as you're gaining speed and going up for the approach. You need to jump higher for this one. The other thing too is your arm swing is cut. What happens is, as you gather, you're gonna pump the ball straight up. And as you're coming up, the other thing you have to focus on is your offhand, in my case is my right hand, you're pushing very hard into your dunk hand, in my case, which is the left hand. So I'm bringing the ball all the way up with 2 hands all the way to the very top and then keeping control of it and then finishing straight down. It's not as simple as running up and jumping as high as you can with the ball. You have to think about the control and the coordination. It's all about the offhand pushing into your dunk hand. A lot of times people say, I can't palm a basketball, so that means I can't dunk it. That's not the case. I wasn't able to palm a basketball before doing this dunk. Having your hand above the ball just like this and having your offhand push it into your left, that's all you need. You don't need to have to palm it. You're pushing it all the way up until you're reaching the max height, and then you're pushing the ball straight down. Level 5, self-lob dunk. This dunk increases complexity because it requires precision, timing, and control. You're throwing the ball yourself, so you're standing maybe around 3-point line. You throw the ball pretty high, way above the rim. You let it bounce on the ground once, and that's when you run up, catch it, and then finish the dunk. So what makes this difficult is the precision of the lob. If you're not a very high jumper, it has to be pretty close to the rim. That way you can, get close and finish the dunk. You need to control the ball into your hand. If you're doing this with one hand, you have to absorb it a little bit, have good control so that way you can bring it up to finish the dunk. Timing wise, your steps need to bring you to the ball as it hits its peak. When you throw the lob, you're not approaching immediately. You might have to wait a half a second to a second before you start your approach. That way when you jump, you're gonna be reaching the ball at its peak after the bounce. Level 6, backboard dunk. We're increasing complexity here by throwing the basketball off of the backboard, it coming back to you, catching it, and then finishing the dunk. There's a few things that make this dunk a little bit more difficult than a self-lob. The accuracy of throwing it off the backboard. You have to get it just right. As you're approaching and throwing the ball off of the backboard, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. It can prevent you from having the perfect catch. As you're throwing it off the backboard, your approach is already compromised. Your approach might be a little bit shorter. You might stutter. A lot of times you'll see a stutter as they throw it off the backboard. You have to focus on throwing it a good pass. And as you're doing that, sometimes you might add an extra hop into your step, so it's not going to be a very fluid motion. And when you have that halt, or if you ever have a stutter in your approach, you won't jump as high. The other thing is the catch. So the ball is going to be coming at you a lot faster, a lot speedier. Getting control of the ball, it's a little bit different in this case. You have to absorb a lot more, which means your arm might come back further away from the rim a little bit more. Once you have control, then you have to bring it back up straight to the rim. Level 7, two-hand tomahawk. With this dunk, we're gonna get into some more trick dunks. So a tip that most people might not think about when attempting this dunk, after your jump, you're gonna pump the ball straight up as if you're just gonna do a two-hand dunk, but as soon as you come straight up, then that's when you bring the ball. It's not a one full swinging motion. Basically like going into a standard two-hand dunk first, but then you're bringing it back into a two-hand tomahawk and then finish the dunk. There is an unspoken threshold of what a tomahawk is. When I say threshold, it's how far back you bring the ball. Most of us dunkers will say there's an invisible line. We just want the ball to come back here, basically. If the ball doesn't come near that far back, that's a baby tomahawk. It's not a real tomahawk. Level 8, windmill dunk. We're increasing complexity here because there's a lot more travel that the ball needs to do to complete this dunk. What happens is after you pump up, you're gonna swing the ball in a swinging motion all the way down and all the way back up, just like a windmill. The key thing that you need to focus on here is your off hand. My right hand, as I pump up, it's gonna be pushing very hard into my left hand all the way through the motion. And I'm not stopping the push just at the very bottom of the motion. I'm bringing it back up with two hands, and then I'm letting go at the top, and then finishing with my left hand. Level 9, 360 dunk. We're increasing complexity with this dunk because you're not actually always looking at the rim. So twisting in the air can actually be disorienting, especially for me as a more hip dominant jumper who needs more speed into the dunk. The more speed you get into a 360, the more things that can go off. For example, I might be tilted in the air like that, and that makes finishing the dunk a bit harder. When I cover distance on a 360, there's a small window to hit this dunk because you're passing the rim. So you have to spin, find the rim, and finish. Versus somebody who's more knee dominant, they're able to come a bit slower. They're able to jump more straight up and down without covering too much distance. And that makes their window to finish a dunk a lot larger. Level 10, push-off windmill. A lot of the times in dunk competitions, you will see somebody being set up as a prop for a dunk. If you see that ball being placed on their head or on their neck, that's gonna be a push-off dunk. So this is a big controversy in the dunk world right now. When you see a dunk like this, you might think, wow, that looks amazing. Most of the time in contests, this gets really high scores. But it's called push-off windmill because what you're doing, you're pushing off of their head. You're pushing the ball straight down into your head, getting a bit of a boost, kind of like leapfrog. This can add maybe 4 inches to your vert. People get away with it because if you're a high jumper, it's almost invisible. It's not very easy to see. There is one thing that does make this kind of difficult is you're actually jumping over somebody. That could be a mental block in itself. This isn't just a physical dunk. It is a mental dunk. It does require a good amount of confidence. The good thing about push-off dunks is it does open the door for very highly technical dunks later on that we'll get into. Now that we understand push-off dunks, we can increase complexity by doing a backwards dunk. Level 11, double up X. With the double up X, what's happening here, you're getting your hands on the ball pretty quickly, and then you're gonna be pushing straight down, giving you that extra boost. And without looking at the rim, you're just gonna finish two hands backwards. Now that we've learned the reverse dunk, we're gonna increase the complexity by basically doing the same dunk but without a push-off. Level 12, reverse pump. It may look easier, but I'll tell you, it's really not. Coming off the dribble, you're gonna be coming at the rim at an angle, and then basically as you jump, your back is almost gonna be facing the rim. You're gonna pump the ball straight up, and you wanna bring the ball with straight arms straight back down. And again, there's another threshold that you wanna pass. You wanna get the ball down between your legs as you're bringing your legs up, and then you have to bring the ball straight back again and finish the dunk. You're moving the ball against your momentum, so it does require a good amount of physicality. This is a pretty stylish dunk. The higher you jump and the longer you hold that pose, toes, the cooler it looks. Level 13, two-hand reverse windmill. We're increasing complexity here by combining two dunks that we've already done. We have the reverse pump and the windmill. This is one of those dunks that requires a good amount of physicality. On takeoff, I like to have my right shoulder facing the rim. So as I'm jumping, my whole body is rotated maybe 45 to 90 degrees away from the rim. And I pump straight up. After the pump, it's a swinging motion like a windmill, but you're doing this with two hands. And as you're doing that, you're rotating your body a little bit more so your back is facing the rim. Then you're bringing the ball straight back up with two hands, finishing backwards. Having to twist your body in midair with this dunk does require a good amount of effort, and it does use up every muscle in your body. Level 14, East Bay, also known as the between the legs dunk. This is a pretty big milestone dunk. I think any hooper, basketball player, they want to be able to do this dunk. So to land a 2-foot East Bay, it's almost like the ball path is the same ball path as a windmill. But what you need to do, in my case, is I have to lift up my block foot, which is my left leg. So I'm in the air and I bring the ball down with one hand, lift up my left leg, and the ball has to go between or underneath my hamstring over into my left hand, and then finish the dunk with my left hand. The few things that make this dunk difficult is the transfer and also being able to jump high enough. You do need a good amount of vert to be able to land this dunk. What you have to do, again with that right hand, your off hand, you're pumping up with the ball into your right hand, and then you're pushing as hard as you can through and underneath your hamstring. And once it's all the way through, you have to locate the rim and finish at the rim. Another thing to focus on is hand placement as you come up with the ball. My right hand being my off hand, as I pump the ball, my hand is gonna be almost on top of the ball. That way I can start the swinging motion really quick, versus if you pump the ball like this, then you'll have to rotate your hand over the ball and then start swinging through. Level 15, behind the back dunk. The complexity increases here because of the transfer is very difficult for a lot of people. This is a pretty technical dunk. The travel distance of the basketball is pretty long here, making it pretty difficult. To get this dunk done right with the transfer, it's all about hand positioning again. What happens with this dunk is, as you pump straight up, you're gonna bring the ball around behind your back, collect it with your dunk hand, and then bring it back up to the rim and finish the dunk. Everybody messes up this transfer because it's difficult trying to get it into your dunk hand and bring it up to the rim. So what you need to do is, it's all about hand placement. As you're transferring, as you're pushing from your right hand over into your left, once you collect the ball, you want your hand almost underneath the basketball. That way, when you push up into this hand, you're able to have more control as you bring the ball up, versus a lot of people tend to have their hand way on top of the ball, and you don't have enough strength to bring the ball from your off hand into your dominant hand and bring it all the way up. With this hand placement, it is difficult to bring the ball up against your momentum as you're coming straight up. Level 16, double up. The double up dunk, invented by T-Dub, is when you go between the legs over somebody. The T-Dub version, he's not using a push off. He's having somebody hold the ball straight up. The version I'm doing here is more consistent because I am using a push off. As you see, the ball is on his head. I'm just doing this for more consistency. As you approach your prop or the guy that's holding the ball, you really want to quickly get your hand on top of the ball, pushing down and then getting through. What you have to also consider too is you're jumping over somebody, so you want to clear them. So you're thinking about clearing somebody, putting the ball between your legs, getting a good control on your dunk hand, and then finishing at the rim. Level 17, reverse 360 windmill. With this dunk, we are increasing complexity because as we're twisting, we're going against the grain. We're going against your momentum as you're spinning. With this dunk, we are combining a 360 and we are combining a windmill. You do need the perfect balance of speed on your approach to get this dunk. For me, what I need to do here is actually cut my approach by about one step. That allows me to go a little bit slower, and the slower I go, the more straight up and down I can be as I do this dunk. The only thing is, it cuts my vertical, so I don't jump as high. That's what makes this dunk difficult. Level 18, the slingshot. The aim here is to jump and with your offhand, swing the ball way across your body into your dunk hand and hold that position with the ball in one arm. And then you have to come all the way across your body again with as much force as you can to bring it toward the rim. So with swinging dunks like a windmill or a two-hand reverse windmill dunk, the ball path provides momentum. With this dunk specifically, you're relying purely on the physicality of your core, shoulders, and arm, bringing the ball straight back and straight forward. Level 19, the Honeydew. With this dunk, I'm gonna be dunking my entire forearm. In my case, I'm actually jumping over somebody here and then putting my entire forearm into the rim and hanging. See, it's important that you hang. If you just put your elbow in and slide out, I don't call that a honey dip dunk. Of all the dunks that I can do, I believe this one is the most dangerous. I feel like you can really hurt yourself. I've hurt myself in the past. Level 20, the scorpion. So the scorpion dunk is one of the most unique dunks out there. We're increasing complexity here by using extreme physicality to swing the ball down and back around up toward the rim, finishing blind with one arm. The variation that I show here is actually called the cuff scorpion, so I'm not jumping over somebody, it's with a cuff. You have to sweep the ball down before you bring it back up. A lot of the times what happens is people will swing the ball straight up toward the rim instead of using a sweeping down motion, and that's not a true scorpion. These days, dunkers, they're really pushing the limits on what is and isn't possible. There's a lot of combinations of these foundational dunks that I've listed, like 360 E-Spades, and you can get into crazy things like the crown, the kamikaze, the hide and seek, the lost and found. The possibilities are endless. There's actually thousands, maybe 10,000s of dunks that are out there, all with varying levels of complexity. We covered a lot of things today that I hope gives you a better understanding of the complex world of dunking.